like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, helps support the cause. I get everyone involved. I feel like I'm on the ball today.
Today, I am in Los Angeles, California. I'm a guest speaker at the Harris Institute for Life Learning. This is an adult school for high-functioning autistic adults. He's teaching them how to develop social skills, keep a job, how to develop artistic hobbies that they have. So I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, so my name is Jemillio Davis. I am a personal trainer. I do online coaching. The way that I got into it, first of all, I want to kind of get into why I do what I do and how I did it, and that way you kind of know me a little bit better before I start asking questions, you guys. But the way I got into it is when I was 16 years old, I wanted to start getting into weight training just because I used to watch cartoons and I would see like Spider-Man and Batman and these different characters. I never looked at guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger and bodybuilders as kind of my model of what I wanted to do. That was never kind of my thing. So when I was younger, I said, well, you know what, when the day comes, like I'm gonna start getting a little bit bigger, but I didn't think of it as like a job that I ever wanted to get into. So skip ahead, when I was about 17 years old, my mom had said, she was like, hey, I'm thinking about going to a gym, like if I went, would you go with me? And I was like, yeah, sure. So when I was at home, I would do like push-ups and stuff, but you know, again, I didn't know what I was doing. So for the first 3 years that I was there, I kind of didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of just like messing around in the gym. And the funny thing is, when I was going to school initially, it was because I wanted to be a rad tech. So a radiological technician is somebody that does like CT scans, and they can learn how to do ultrasounds later, they can do x-rays, MRIs, stuff like that. So that was my initial interest because I wanted to get into the medical field. I was into anatomy and physiology, and that was the main thing that I wanted to get into. When I was 18, I got out of high school, and the economy went down in 2008. That was when like everybody was going back to school. So initially, to get into the program, it was like a year waiting list, but it went from 1 year to 3 years over the course of 1 year like that, because everybody lost their job. The government was giving a lot of FAFSA money because everybody's like, oh, I need more education to get a better job. So what I did was I was still taking my prerequisites. So I took medical terminology, I took integration and patient care, I took anatomy and physiology. And when I was talking to a counselor and I found out the waiting list is 3 years, that wasn't that bad. The bad thing is when you get into the program, then you have to go there full time. So they pretty much tell you your schedule, and then you're in clinic from like 9 to 4. You really can't, your job has to kind of teeter around that. And then even the classes that I was taking, it was difficult because studying alone was like another class. So I was never in a position, like right when I was 18, like I was, like mom was charging me rent, like I was never in a position where I could live at home for free. Some people are like that, they, like, especially now you got a lot of like 25, 26, 28-year-olds that are living at home for free, parents don't charge them anything. I knew I was never gonna be in that position. So I said, well, I don't wanna go to school and then have to wait 3 years, and then what am I gonna do to survive? Because I can't have a job because I'm gonna be in school full time. Then I was thinking about loans, and then I thought about, what if I don't even like the job? Because anytime you go to school for something, you're making an assumption of if you're gonna really like the job. You can talk to people all you want, but you never really know. It's not until you do it, you're in the field itself, and then you say, okay, I like this or I don't. And I didn't want to be in debt. I didn't want to have all this time devoted to school, especially for something that I hated, because I hated school. I've always been good at school. Never got bad grades, but I just hated the structure of school. Mm-hmm. So I said, I don't want to put all this time and money into this, and then I get the job, and then I'm like, I don't even like this. So I said, you know what? So let me stop. So I took my prerequisites. I was taking some basic stuff like Spanish and math and English. And so I stopped. After the semester was done, I stopped and I said, well, let me see if there's something else that I want to get into. So in the meantime, I just worked different jobs. I worked at a golf course. A friend of mine had a window cleaning business. I did that. I worked for ServPro briefly, which is like a house damage place where you gut the place out. I worked at the ports down in Long Beach and San Pedro for the cruise lines, checking people's passports. So I just had all these like random jobs that I was getting. When I was 18 years old, my first job was working front desk at a LA Fitness. That was like my first job. So it was kind of cool because I was like in the gym and I could work out there for free. But when I was 20 years old, and this is all when I was kind of going to school, that was when I decided, oh, let me get into training because it's like it's more money and I'm good at working out, so I can teach other people. I hated it. I was 20 years old and I hated it. I'm like, people got on my nerves. They honestly got on my nerves because I said, I would show up and it was just like, it's like, okay, so you can't be drinking soda. Well, I don't want to skip a drink of soda. And I'm like, okay, well, no, what? All right. Or you know, they would see me one day for 30 minutes. And then I said, okay, so here's what I want you to do on the other days. You know, if you can come in like 3-4 days a week. Well, I don't want to come in 3 days a week. I don't have time. You ain't gonna get anywhere for 30 minutes one day a week. And so it was the constant kind of complaining. And at the time, like when you're 20 years old, like you're a kid. Like you've been out of school for like 2 years. You know, don't have much life experience, or you don't really know. The main thing about growing is you're learning about yourself. You're kind of growing into yourself. And so I hadn't grown into myself yet. Like I was still trying to figure out like who I was and how to talk to people. And you know, I'm 20 years old and I'm talking to these like 45-year-old people. You know, like I'm their equal and I'm not. So I got out of it after like I did that at a gym for, it was almost a year, and then I got out of it just because I didn't have the patience for it. But all throughout that time, as I was working these different jobs, there was always like 1 or 2 people that would come to me and they would say, hey, you know, I'll pay you this much, so can you come to the gym with me? And so I would always like train people. So for all these years that went by, that's what happened. Skip ahead, so when I was in my mid-20s, I wound up getting into the medical field. So I got a job as an ophthalmic technician, and I got this job because a friend of mine said, she's like, hey, there's an opening at this place for a temp position to scan charts. So Medicare made this mandate where I think it was by 2016, I think it was, all medical charts have to be digital so they can audit them and check them better. And if you don't, you get charged a fine every single year. So they wanted somebody to come in, so like all your medical, you go to the doctor now, it's all digital. Like they're not using paper charts anymore. Everything used to be paper. So they wanted to put it into the system. So that was my job. I went there, showed up for the interview, and they were like, we're just gonna pay you minimum wage, and we don't know how long the job's gonna last. But I said, you know what, it's okay. Like, I wasn't really sure exactly what I wanted to do. So I went there, and I was scanning charts. But when I was there, I was listening, was always asking for more things to do. I was asking questions, and they would discourage me from that. They would go, oh, don't bother the doctors, but I would ask questions. And every day I would show up on time, and at the end of the day I would say, you want to come back tomorrow? Yeah, come back tomorrow. Because I was kind of working day by day. I didn't even know how long I was going to be there. And as I was there, I was taking it upon myself to learn things, look up things. I was going home and studying things. 2 of the techs quit. So they decided to go with the actual company that was going to take all of the charts. These are thousands of charts, and they were going to just have the company do it because they were like running low on time. So I said, so they said, we like you. Have you thought about if there's anything else you may want to do here? And I said, they said, we think about putting you in like medical billing, and I was like, no, I don't want to be in medical billing. And then plus it was like I would have been working close in proximity to like the office manager who I didn't care for. And then her assistant was there too, and you ever watched the cartoon Recess? You ever watched that cartoon?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember Randall?
Yeah.
She was like Randall. She was annoying.
God.
She was irritated. She was like this. She would have like a notebook, and she was like the office snitch. Like everything was like going to her. So I was like, I don't want to work this woman. So when I was in the room with them and they were trying to figure out what to do with me, I said, well, I'm interested in being a tech. And they said, oh, okay, well, all right, we'll give it a try. But all that information that I remembered from medical terminology, from patient care, all the anatomy, physiology, even from me being in the gym and exercising and not being a gym bro, like actually understanding what I'm working and how the body works, that all came to my aid for this. So I was making minimum wage as a tech, which doesn't happen. I don't know, they bumped me up $1. So they gave me $1 extra. And I was there, I was learning, and they were giving me stuff to do. The doctors were doing stuff like peripheral iridotomies. An ophthalmologist, in case you guys don't know, is a medical doctor that does, they treat glaucoma, macular degeneration. They do cataract surgeries. They do, they're eye surgeons. So they do more than an optometrist. An optometrist can just, in the state of California, they can't do any surgeries. Contacts, eyeglasses, if you go to Costco, that's an optometrist. Medical doctor is an ophthalmologist. It's kind of like a podiatrist, like it's a medical doctor that specializes on feet. But anyway, the information that I had learned there, it was great. Like I like showing up there, and then I wound up applying to another medical office because minimum wage went up $1 an hour, and they didn't even change my pay at all. I was like, I'm just kind of like at a dead end here. I'm not going anywhere here. But as I was there, I was getting tired of the 9 to 5 thing. I was kind of like, man, like I feel tired all the time. So I was sick of the 9 to 5 thing. Like I understood why people go hard on the weekends. Like Friday night, like I was the guy who was like waiting for Friday, and then Saturday all I would want to do was take a nap because I was tired. So it wasn't like I would do anything on Saturday. Then Sunday, I'm just prepping for Monday.
Right.
And that was my life. And I said, man, I'll do this till I'm 50 years old or 60 years old. Like, is this the rest of my life? This is terrible. That's why people get depressed. So I said, I don't like doing this. So I went to that new office, and I was there for a little while. Things didn't work out there. So I was going to go to another place. But then I said, you know what? Like, I took some time off work because I said, let me try to figure out what I want to do, because I really don't like being trapped in an office all day. I was there for like 9-10 hours a day. And then in the wintertime it was terrible because I show up and the sun's kind of down, then I leave and the sun's down. So I was like, it's depressing. Depressing.
Wow.
So I was about 26. I found out my daughter was going to be born.
Wow.
So I said, crap, now I really got to find something. So I said, oh, what am I going to do? And I was trying to figure it out. And I said, you know what? Let me try training, because people always kept asking me, oh yeah, you're a trainer, right? And I'm like, no, I haven't been a trainer since I was 20 years old. Like, no. But it was because I would train people like here and there, but it was never like my job. Like I'm paying my rent. It was always like, oh, I made an extra like $100 a month or like $200 a month off of doing this. So I said, let me do this, because no matter what happened in my life, I loved working out. Like no matter what job I had, I made time for the gym. So I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and let me get back into training. And I was different. But from 26 to 20, I was a very different person. I was more patient. I learned how to talk to people better. And I went to a commercial gym, applied there, and they were kind of beating around the bush. And I just showed up and said, hey, where's the fitness manager? Like, you guys want to hire me? I'm here. So he said, yeah, sure. And it was cool when I was there. Like, I realized like I'm good at this. Like I learned that balance of my personality. I'm more straightforward, but I learned how to be. It's balancing being witty and being formal, and it's learning how to kind of bounce between the two of them. Because you don't want to be too formal, but you don't want to be too comfortable. And so I was learning how to kind of balance between that. And at this point, I realized like, this is good. Like I didn't get tired of going to the gym. Because I would work out by myself, and then I would be there again for work. Didn't get tired of it. I liked meeting new people. They started having me like sell some of the training packages, and I hate salesmen, get on my nerves. And I was like, man, I have to. But all I really did was I realized my personality could kind of sell it. So I would just kind of show up, and I would say, hey, like, let's do a workout. And I would just say, so it's kind of like this. If you want to do it, you can talk to the general manager, and he can get you set up. If not, that's fine too. If you have a question, just let me know. And they would go to the manager, like, yeah, I like them. They would request me. So there was a period of time where I was like one of the top like 5 trainers in California for this gym, because I was doing so many sessions.
Wow.
And I liked it. I was fine. I was like, you know what? Like I like training. Like this is nice. Like I make decent money. I'm making good money every hour. I can adjust my schedule. And it was great for me because being a dad, I didn't want a 9 to 5 job, because I didn't want to be at work all day. And then I come home at night, and my daughter's like going.
Spend time with your kids.
Right, exactly. Because then I was like, I'm gonna be coming home when she's like going to sleep. So I wanted to be more active, more active in her life. So so that's why the training for me was great, and I was okay there. But after a while, I started noticing that I was kind of bumping heads with certain policies that they would make. They would randomly make certain things, like they would charge a certain amount for something, or they would want to do something in the gym, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, but that's helping the business, but that's not helping the members. It's actually bad for the members. Well, you know, and their main thing was just money, 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 money. So I was always kind of bumping heads with, well, I mean, let's say bumping heads, like it wasn't we were getting into arguments, it was just there was a lot of stuff that I was seeing, like I always try to think of the mind of the consumer, and I'm like, well, that's not right, that's not fair. And, but you know, when you're a grunt, you can't say anything. You're an employee, you work for them. So if you don't like it, you can leave, and that's kind of how it is. So, we got a new training manager. He and I got along great, but he was real buddy-buddy with two of the other trainers there. They were hanging outside of the gym, and I'm a bad butt kisser. I'm really bad at kissing butt. I'm like, look, either, you know, like if we get along, cool, but I'm not gonna like, hey, you want to get drinks afterwards? I got stuff to do. Like that's just how I'm not gonna kiss butt. I'm not gonna do that. So he was giving the other two trainers a lot of clients, like because they were his friends outside of the gym. And I said, I was like, well, that's not really, you know, that's not really right. Like, you know, I'm doing really good. My numbers are great. Because I would have clients that would come in there and I just want to do a month. A year had gone by and they still kept getting training. I just want to do 3 months. A year and a half went by and they were still getting training. You know, so it's like I didn't have any issue holding on to clients. So I knew it wasn't like I was losing people or I wasn't good at selling it. I realized like, you know, I'm not going to kiss somebody's butt to get more clients. And so I had my regular clients that were there, but I was struggling to kind of pay my rent. So I was doing Postmates. And I remember sitting in my car and I was like, I'm never gonna let somebody else determine if my rent gets paid. And that was kind of where like the bell kind of hit me. I was like, no, I'm gonna like, I realized what was missing, and the thing was I hated working for people. That's honestly what it was. I hated working for people. I didn't like the fact that I didn't have control over pricing, I didn't have control over environment, I didn't have control over any of that. I didn't like the fact that if somebody comes in and if they like me more or less, that determines how much work I get. Right. And I said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. So, you know, like I'm a father, I was pushing 27 at this point, and I'm like, no, I don't like that. So I made the decision to go ahead and start trying to work for myself. So the owner of the gym that I'm at now, I talked to her and I talked to all my clients and I let them know, I said, hey, I'm thinking about going to another gym. If you want to come, price is the same, but you're in a private space. We don't have to fight for space like here in this gym. And all of them said, sure. So I set a date for the end of when their sessions were done, and then we all jumped ship, and I went over to the private gym that I'm at now. So I pay the owner rent. She doesn't pay me, I pay her, and then all my clients that I get are mine. So I'm not fed clients. All the work that I get is my own. And the online training that I do there are people that I train that are not even in the state of California. And I give them their workouts to do. We go over their diet. I check in with them at least once a week through video chat, usually multiple times during the week to make sure that they're on track with what they're trying to do. So I've been doing that. I started making the merge in February of 2018. Final merge. When I was finally done at the commercial gym, it was August of 2018. So it's been a little more than 1 year that I've been self-employed. So the nice thing about it is like I'm not juggling multiple jobs. Like this is all that I do. Like I pay my rent, I have a child, you know, I buy my food, I have money saved. Like all that is just from money that I've generated from getting my own work. And so that's what I do. So that's a little bit about me. Yes.
Is it difficult doing on your own? Or?
It can be. I'm gonna get into that later. That's one of the risks that you take. You're trading freedom. I'm sorry. You're trading financial security for freedom, and so it's your job to kind of learn how to balance that. Some people don't like that, which is why not everybody can be a business owner or be an entrepreneur. But that, yeah, like it can be challenging. There's 4 tips that I'm gonna go over. These are things that have helped me as far as in business. These are things that have helped me. There's a lot of other things to say, but these are things that have helped me. But I want to kind of tailor the message to help you, because you're not trying to be a trainer, you're not trying to get into what I'm doing. Like, you have your own aspirations and goals and things that you're into. So I want to kind of tailor it to help you guys. So if I could just go down left to right, and I'll get your guys' name, and then, so I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. The first one is, what your name is, why you're here, what made you even want to come into this program in the first place, and what you're interested in. Like, it could be job, it could be not a job, it could be something that you are really passionate about or into. The first thing is, be a critical thinker. Stupid people just do things. There's no direction on why they do things. They just say, I'm just kind of taking it a day, I'm just kind of going around, I'm just kind of, taking it a day at a time, and I don't know, I don't know what I want. Or you'll see memes like, not all who wander are lost. It's like, yeah, what are you talking about? Just randomly going about life, there's no direction, there's no plan. For instance, if you say, I want to learn how to code better, understand what you're trying, you don't just sit there in front of a computer just typing things. Yeah. There's something that you're trying to create through the code. Yeah. So if you have an idea, whether it is writing, whether it is drawing, whether it is, even if you want to travel or you're trying to make it into a business, Devon writes, you created this program, you have to have some idea of how you want to do it and talk to people. Talk to people, plan, ask questions. The reason why it's important to do that is because what I hear a lot, and especially like in the fitness industry, just because it's the one that I pay more attention to because I'm in it, they'll say, well, I'm just going to learn as I go along. And that's true to some extent. But you can wind up making the same mistakes that other people did unnecessarily. You can, if you ask questions about what did you do to get started, I've learned a lot by how I take payments, training agreements, liability, business accounts, how to sell something, and I've avoided a lot of mistakes because I asked people. So they said, oh yeah, no, don't do it like that because I did that and I lost a lot of money. And so I didn't repeat the mistakes because I didn't just, like for me, I didn't just quit my job and say, okay, I'm gonna be independent. I didn't do that. I had the idea at one point, it was like the end of 2017, like maybe end of summer 2017, and I slowly started looking into gyms I can go to, how to structure payments. I went over a spreadsheet of my expenses, what I could cut out, how much certain things cost, what my availability would be to train people, how to do online training. I went on people's websites, saw what they were doing. What can I do to kind of mimic that but do something a little bit different? I did all this research. I had a logo made. I had business cards made. I looked into web design. I looked into all that stuff because I didn't want to repeat the same mistakes. That was the reason why. So always have a plan. Be a critical thinker. Don't just do stuff. Think about why you're doing it, what you want to do it for. Something else with the business, especially in 2019. Saying I have my own business is it's like a cool thing to say. I have my own business and people go, oh, wow, that's cool. But why do you want to have your own business? Is it because you honestly want to own a business or you just don't like being told what to do? For me, my main reason is because I didn't like the fact that, and this happened in the medical field too, I didn't like the medical field because it's the insurance competing with the doctor and the patient's like a kid in the middle. It's like two divorced parents bickering. Doctor's trying to get as much as they can. Insurance wants to do whatever they can to not pay.
Like fighting over money.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is. And so the patient suffers. And so for me to be in the middle where old lady's been waiting for an hour, doctor's friend comes in, get his chart first. I'm not gonna get his chart first. The old lady been sitting there for an hour. Then they don't like that because again, you're not playing ball. Yeah. So for me, I didn't like being a drone. That was something that I didn't like. Some people like the 9 to 5. They like that sure income. They like knowing when to go to wake up and when to go to work and when to leave. they liked it. There's nothing wrong with that. For me, that was why. It wasn't just because I just want to say I own something. That's not why you should want to do it. You don't have to have a mentor. I know some people, they stop because they're like, well, I don't have anyone to kind of show me. Just ask people. Just ask. When I was in the gym trying to work out, I couldn't afford a trainer, so I would see the guys who looked like they were doing, and I asked. I said, hey, can you make sure I'm doing it right? Next one is put in the work and have good business ethics. So, nothing that you want to do is proprietary. Do you know what proprietary means? It means you own something.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is nothing that you want to do is special. It's not. There are lots of writers. There are lots of, I live in LA, there's a lot. If I threw a rock, I would hit the head of a person who's a personal trainer. It's there, everybody is a trainer. There's a lot of people that code, there's a lot of people that know how to do graphic design, there's a lot of people that make bracelets and blankets, a lot of people that want to travel. Nothing about that is unique. It's somebody's doing it. There's a lot of people that are doing it. What makes it unique is your perspective. It's you. That's the only thing you own. The only thing you own is you. It's your personality. It's your perspective on things. And so the reason why, especially a group like you guys, that's so important is because I don't know of anybody that's autistic that has a graphic design company. I don't. That could be a selling point for what you want to do. And so always remember that it's the things that make you you are the only thing that you own in the first place. So I'm not saying that you need to grab a bugle horn and shout it to the rooftops that I have autism. That's not what I'm saying, but the point is that you shouldn't be ashamed of it because a person may have a family member, friend, a neighbor, and the fact that you're there saying, yeah, I have autism and I'm directing this class about people who know how to, or showing people how to draw, or I'm autistic, but I have a job in data entry. I have a business where I'm making blankets. I'm coding a game. There are people who are going to buy into you because it's inspiring to them. I can't inspire a person that has autism like that because I don't have autism, but you can. And so if you're willing to put in that work, then that means that you have an edge that other people don't have. When it comes to making money, don't just look at people as a dollar. How much money can I make? Always look at what am I honestly offering them. One of the things that irritates me when I ask a person about their job is, like, let's say they're a life coach. They don't just say, I'm a life coach. They'll give me some frou-frou answer, and they'll say, I help people discover who they were. That didn't answer my question. I help people, that's not, like, what do you do for work?
So you're not selling health?
Exactly. Oh, I'm selling health and wealth. No, I'm a trainer. I'm teaching you how to lift weights and eat right. Like, I'm not going to give you some hippie answer. Like, that's not, what are you talking about? And so when you do that, when you look at a person as what am I offering, you can give them a price point. You can clearly direct your services and explain it without having to have the person try to buy into whatever kind of off the wall, like, I don't know, like cloudy answer that you're trying to give them. People like actual business people, that annoys them. It's like, well, what do you do? What am I investing my time and money in? Anytime you want to approach somebody, you always want to have the work that you've done first, something tangible that you can present to them. What a lot of people do is they wait for that big break. They wait for somebody to come to them and just offer them money. They're always looking at, well, my time is valuable. Your time doesn't mean anything if you don't have a business. It means nothing. So when some people will wait and not do anything because they keep saying, hey, give me a job, give me a job, give me a job. And they're like, but you haven't even, I don't even know what you've done. I don't have any presentation of your work. What have you done?
Like work experience.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to be willing to put in that work without pay, so you have something tangible. I don't mean work for the person. I mean, it could be anything. It could be an Instagram page with all your art that you've drawn. It could be a portfolio of stuff that you've written. You just showed me bracelets that you've made. That's work that you've done that you can present, and you can say, here's what I've done. For you, it could be, here's a little game I designed. Here's art that I made. You need to have those things before you go to somebody saying, hey, well, pay me. Well, why should I pay you? And the reason why that resonates with me so much is because it's that constant battle between like a protagonist and an antagonist. You know what a protagonist is?
Yeah.
It's like what is it?
Basically, the main character.
Right. And then what's the antagonist? You know what the antagonist is?
The opposing force of the main character.
Very good. Right. So what's the difference between a protagonist and an antagonist? Like what would you describe it as? The difference between the two of them?
Protagonist is aiming to, well, usually they're aiming to do good, but I mean, that's not always the case, but usually they're.
Sure. And the antagonist is trying to stop them from.
Stop them from doing what.
Sure. And that's the typical like mindset of what they are. The reason why I like that where that resonates with me is because to me the difference between a protagonist and an antagonist is choice. And choice, that can apply to anything. It could be fitness, it could be, I'm out of shape and I'm unhealthy and I want to get in better shape. It could be dealing with a disability. It could be dealing with stuff from your childhood with your parents. The only difference between an antagonist and a protagonist is a choice. A protagonist, it's never circumstance. It's never circumstance. A protagonist can have his parents die, he can have loved ones killed in front of him, but there's a choice that they make to either use that to benefit other people or to hurt other people. And the antagonist wants other people to feel their pain. They repeat the cycle.
Like H.I.L.L.
Like who? Oh, sorry, I don't know what that is. I don't know who that is. So that's the main, for me, that's why that whole kind of comic book, like that appeals to me, because to me that concept of choice applies to literally anything. And what a lot of people will do is they'll say, well, I'm this way because my mother didn't love me enough. I'm this way because my husband left me. And so they repeat the same cycle. They sit in a bar at night getting drunk, they get obese, or they beat their kids, or because for them it's like, well, I'm like this because I don't have a choice. Like this is just the way that I was raised. Or in your guys' case, you may say, well, I'm autistic, so I can't do it. It may be harder, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. I have friends that have ADHD. Studying for them is extremely difficult. They do it.
My brother has ADHD.
Yeah. You can do it. Now, he has to study or work a lot harder to focus than I do,
Yeah.
but he can still do it. Everybody thinks they're the hero of their story. Everybody thinks that. They're like, man, the world's against me. Relationship ended because they didn't appreciate me. Parents should have treated me better. Boss doesn't appreciate me.
No.
I'm the only person driving right on the freeway right now. Everybody else knows how to drive. like that's
I hear that
it's
a lot.
always everybody's the hero of their own story. But if you have issues with your parents and you're sitting in a bar, not trying to thrive and develop relationships, if you're just complaining about your job, if you're doing that party on Friday, get drunk and hate Monday,
No.
you're the villain of your own story. Because you are the thing that's keeping you from doing what you want to do.
Indeed.
If you're sitting around and you're like, man, my back hurts, my knees hurt, and you're eating pizza all the time and you're obese, you're the person that is preventing you from being healthier.
Oh.
It's like, oh, well, my mom used to make this, or I'm depressed. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Because you are that thing. You're that wall. You're the antagonist of your own story. And that's how it is for a lot of people. I know a lot of people where they keep failing relationships. And it's because they want the person to fight for them, but they're not wanting to do the same thing. So it's like, okay, well, you're the reason why that's the reason, or they don't have good relationships with their kids. If you hate your job that much, work somewhere else. So I'm all done. It was a great experience. The name of the guy that's the head of the program is Keith Harris. I'll put his email address in the description. And it's awesome because the nice thing about this program is that it's teaching adults with autism how to be independent and not just try to get money from the state and say, well, I can't do anything because I'm not smart enough or I'm not good enough. No, it takes their interest and it tries to nurture them. Don't just put a broom or a mop in these hands or have them wiping tables. It's nurturing a creative spirit, and I love that. It is a wonderful program, and I'm super, super happy that I was able to speak at one of their classes.
I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, help support the cause. I get everyone involved.